Welcome back to Match Night and State of the Squad Part 2. The striker race up top for Canada is a compelling one. Jonathan David, a fixture. He's the key cog. He plays up top, but man, he's all over the field, in fairness, the way that Jesse Marsh utilizes him. But who is the best strike partner? We see Tenny Oluwaseyi is playing Champions League football for Villarreal. Started earlier in the day against Real Madrid. Adjusted to life rather quickly at a very good side in Villarreal. Yeah. You have Promise David also starting and playing and scoring in the Champions League. He's got off to a very good start in the Belgian top flight as well with Union Saint-Gilloise. And then you have Cyle Larin. He makes a move to join Robin van Persie at Feyenoord, but he's not starting games and he's not playing much. Came off the bench in the Europa League against your Aston Villa this week. So is it make or break time for Cyle Larin? Like, you have a good read on this, and I think we all rate Cyle Larin. Yeah. But it seems like he might be falling behind in this race to who partners Jonathan David.
Well, the stats would show that. I don't know whether he's falling behind in Jesse Marsh's mind yet. Is it make or break? I would say that I can't think of another outfield player who this window is bigger for than him. I really believe that. And there's lots of reasons for that. And it starts because of the history that Cyle Larin's had with this team, scoring a lot of big goals. I thought we had a tremendous Copa America, but the confidence has gone down a little bit. We've seen Jesse Marsh openly back this player a couple of times, both in terms of being disappointed in terms of the reaction Canadians give him, but also when he named him captain in the press conference in Toronto when I was there for the Shield game, really backed him as like a promoter, as if he's a heavyweight fighter going into the ring. Yeah. That's how much he gave him the vote of confidence. But then came a very difficult summer for Cyle Larin. His wife was pregnant. He was thinking about being at home. He didn't start a game at all in the Gold Cup. Jesse Marsh had a conversation with him there after one of those games as well, where he's like, I need more from you. And then he missed the September window. So that's how it's been. It feels like Jesse Marsh would want to give him that opportunity to thrive at some point by maybe giving him an hour somehow.
I like how you said confidence, because for me, Wheels, what sticks out to me about the Cyle Larin situation, confidence, for sure, will breed momentum. Like, then you start playing, and everyone knows for a striker, that's the biggest thing. Right now, he doesn't have that with Canada. I don't think he has that in general. We talked about this months back, when we talked about the disrespect that Cyle Larin might get in the Canadian world about how he is as a striker, and people say, oh, be done with him. I don't think it's that situation, but I know Oluwaseyi, Jay David, Promise David, all of these three strikers have momentum. Cyle Larin doesn't. So this window, he has to gain some of that and find his confidence back.
Well, he scored once in his last 20 for Canada. I mean, you know, as much as I love him and what he's done in the past for Canada, that's just not going to cut it going into a World Cup. And when I hear Jesse Marsh say that, KJ, there's sometimes, and we've been listening to Jesse, what he has to say, and you can kind of get certain messaging, and I think it's deliberate, what he says, to a certain degree. Sometimes I think he builds up guys because he knows he's going to have to let them down easy. I feel like he's done that with a bunch of players. I'm not saying that that will be the case, and I think you're right. He's going to give him every opportunity to fight for a spot. But right now, I don't think there's any denying it. He's the outsider. And it's one thing to come to a defense of a player, but what's the end goal here? Well, is it to build the confidence, or is it, you know, kind of to lighten the blow that may be delivered later on?
I counter that by saying I still think that he has a ceiling that he's seen from Jesse Marsh that he hasn't seen from the other two players for Canada. That's why. And he feels that there's a level of performance in that player that can get the best out of Canada when Cyle Larin plays at level. And I know that we talk about the 1 in 20. By the way, it's tough to score in international football. The best players score one every three games, and they played some really top opposition during that run. The one thing I'd say about Larin is it's been consistent that despite, and this is not the first time he's had difficulties at the club level when he's been playing for Canada, despite his challenges for club, he usually doesn't translate that form into international form. He usually comes into the games, even during the World Cup qualifiers, it didn't always go smoothly with his teams. And then he came to Canada, and he didn't let it bother him.
Well, that's the point right there, right? When you talk to the fans, everyone's looking at Oluwaseyi at Villarreal. You look at Promise David, who seems to have a highlight every week. And then there's Cyle Larin. Like, we know from watching Cyle, he has quality. We also know that Jesse Marsh could use him in a spot and he could flourish. Maybe it doesn't add up in goals and assists all the time, but in terms of how he's holding up the ball, how he's playing the game, we know that he can add some productivity to the side. But it's difficult when that's matched against players that are just putting up.
And have a hard time seeing Cyle Larin start this window. If it's go time and he's using these 3 windows combined as one, and this preparation is valuable, you need to earn your minutes. Tenny O'Shea looks like a fit in terms of the style of play. He did nothing wrong in the last window. Yeah, maybe the finish wasn't there, but from a stylistic perspective, he fit. And I think that Canadians are clamoring to see more of Promise David.
Yeah.
He's only started twice, limited minutes, barely played last winter. I think it was like about 13 minutes. He wasn't fully fit. He's got to unleash the beast, right? They need to see what Promise David can do starting and get him a longer look in this team as well.
You said confidence. I said momentum. We were talking about Cyle Larin, but there's a player that embodies both of those things. He's confident. He walks into a room, he walks onto the pitch, feel like he's going to make something happen. And right now he has momentum. This is him playing for Canada for the first time. And yeah, okay, it wasn't the best Ukraine side, and it wasn't his best 45, but he still found the back of the net. And
made an impression.
That
you
means
felt
something.
it, yes.
That means something, Wheels. That means something, KJ. That even not on your best day, even not understanding tactics, you still can find the back of the net, and you could be a threat to defenders no matter who you're playing.
Yeah, sure, it does mean a lot. But it's a completely different team to the team that he's playing right now. And I think it's really important. That I understand that club form is important, but this side, the way that they're analyzing these players is what can you do best for us in the way that we play? And the facts are the facts that he didn't play much for Canada in the last window, and there are reasons behind that. And I still think that when Jesse Marsh brings in a Cyle Larin, and he knows, okay, yeah, you're not playing that much for Feyenoord. I know Promise David's scoring a lot of goals over here, but where is that analysis coming from? Is it simply just based on form that you're playing for club, or is there a lot of it down to the fact that how have you played in my system? And I think it's a juggling of both.
You said there's reasons. Like, was he not fully fit? It was a weird one because then he went and played in the Champions League right away. So was that kind of an excuse at that time that he wasn't fully fit?
Well, he didn't arrive fit because of his concussion, and then he was fine. He got cleared during that time to play, and he came on in the first game, but
not in the second.
Not in the second game, and that was a tactical decision.
Look, I think also just to be careful about people fitting into a system. Because at the end of the day, of course, I understand that that's important, and Jesse Marsh has come in and played that philosophy, and you get it. But in a striker position, number 9, sometimes it's okay to color outside the lines. And if that's a Promise David, if he's putting up numbers, Wheels, I'm fine with him not being great at the press. Be a menace to defenders.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. I play with players that, hey, they don't really color him in the lines, but you know in a game situation, you're putting up numbers.
I think it's important to have different players for different scenarios.
Yes.
I agree with you.
But I think that at least having a longer look at him would be worthwhile.
Yeah. Now, this window.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. We only have about a minute here, guys. Just the midfield really quickly. For each of you, a storyline that you're following the midfield. What's the biggest storyline, KJ?
Saliba comes back to Quebec, and how close can he get to becoming that star that we want to see? I know we'll get it to Kone another time. Maybe you get there, but Saliba was tremendous in the window.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to see him play with Eustáquio. We haven't seen a lot of that yet either, with Eustáquio as a lock for me in that midfield and how he gets Kone in there. But Saliba's been excellent for club and country the last few months.
Kone, how he's used, but also playing at home. I think this is going to be a feel-good story. Also, you think about it, it felt like the other day he was just playing for CF Montreal, and look at where his journey has been, and now playing at Stade Saputo for Canada and being a lock for me for the World Cup as a 10 or an 8. I mean, that's a feel-good story all around.
Canada against Australia, October 10th. Canada, Colombia, October 14th. Right here on One Soccer and on TSN. One Soccer Direct, your daily